Hi guys, welcome to this next question in our sample paper review. And in this section, we're going to be covering question 6 of the sample paper 1, the BCS Business Analysis sample paper 1. So as normal, let's just read the question and see what we can get from this. So it says that Exquisite Analog, a music company, has been undertaking a strategic review. You have been asked to complete a VMOST analysis. Which of the following should you include in the strategy section? Select all that apply. Now, it's given 5 answers here. A is to release 10 new albums by the end of the year. B is to expand the catalog of artists by identifying and growing new talent. C, to revamp the graphics used online to create a contemporary feel. D, to update the recording studio in Paris. And E is to enter partnerships with high-end audio manufacturers to promote analog music. Now, already I can start getting a bit of an indication as to what I would probably select from this question, just because of the actual nature of the statement. So what we should first establish, though, is what are they really trying to ask us? So, which of the following should we include in the strategy section? Select all that apply. Okay, so we have to select more than one answers here from this question, and we obviously have to eliminate the ones that are not linked to the strategy of the VMOST. So what do we know about the strategy? We know that the strategy is it's the high-level decisions, it's the high-level plan in terms of what the organization is going to do to move the organization forward and reach its goals, reach its main goals, its objectives, reach the vision, and carry out the mission. So the strategy would be usually decided by senior members of the organization, such as executives and directors and such. So usually they won't be people that would have, at this decisive level, have decided the specifics of what exactly needs to be done. So strategy is not it's a long-term thing. It's not a short-term thing like an objective, where the objective is a point in time, in a point along this transformational journey that we want to reach. It's things that we need to achieve in order to reach our goals along the way. So we'll have multiple of these, and they're very specific in nature. They tell us what to do. They tell us what exactly we're going to be doing, what exactly we need to achieve. And sometimes they provide quantitative figures in them, such as a percent or even a point in time in terms of when we must achieve it. So we know that the objectives are SMART and they're specific. So what we need to do is we need to eliminate anything that is specific. Another thing that is also specific, an element of the VMOST, is the tactics. The tactics are also short-term, and they're the specific actions in terms of what we exactly need to do to reach the objectives and carry out this overarching strategy. So the first thing that I would do in terms of approaching this answer is eliminate aspects of other aspects of the VMOST. So we're looking at the vision. Are we, would any of these statements be in the context of the vision? Would it be an aspirational statement about the long-term goal, or this point, this dreamlike state where the organization would perceive itself to be in the future? And remember, the vision has got nothing to do with any actions, objectives, or operational procedures that are going to allow us to carry out this transformation. So already, if we read through this, to release 10 new albums by the end of the year, that is not the vision. It's telling us exactly what we're going to be doing. It's not aspirational. It's not a long-term future point, a dreamlike state, that a single statement in terms of where the organization wants to be. To expand the catalog of artists by identifying and growing new talent. This is also telling us what we need to do along this transformational journey. It's giving us a bit of a plan about what we're going to be doing. It's not very specific, though. C is to revamp the graphics used online to create a contemporary feel. It's also part of all the operations, or in terms of this transformational journey that the organization is on. D, to update the recording studio in Paris. That's also not the vision. And to enter partnerships with high-end audio manufacturers to promote analog music. No, that's also not the vision. There's nothing here that's saying that there's an aspirational over a single statement that's describing the future imaginary best state that the organization is trying to get to. Then also the mission. What do we know about the mission? The mission is a single statement that describes the purpose of the organization. It's the overarching, the broad purpose. So, as we read through all of these things here, I can't see anything that is describing an overarching purpose. It's saying to do this, to update this, to revamp this, to expand this, to release this, to enter partnerships. None of these things sound or feel like it's the mission of the organization. There's no, it's no primary purpose for all of these things that are taking place here. But what I can identify here is that I can identify that there are certain statements here that are telling us what we need to do, which in a way, the strategy also does it. It's telling us what we need to do because it's the plan of how we're going to carry out this transformation, but it's on a high level. The tactics also tell us what we need to do, but they're specific. They're the specific detailed actions of what we need to do, not just an overview statement. So now we've almost identified what our strategy for answering this question is to almost remove the specific statements from the ones that are broader in nature, because this would then reveal the strategy, the items or the elements of what has been decided by these senior decision makers in terms of carrying out this transformation, this high level plan of action, these high level decisions that they've made. And if we can identify anything that's specific in relation to an action or to a specific aim that they need to achieve on this journey, then we can eliminate those too, because that would be an objective or a tactic. So if we look at question A, it says to release 10 new albums by the end of the year. Now already I identify aspects of SMART in here. Okay, so they're specific, measurable, achievable, time-bound, and relevant. So we can see that this statement is probably more an objective. It's very specific. It's telling us a quantitative figure in terms of what they exactly need to achieve. And this isn't part of some broader viewpoint in terms of what the organization is doing to achieve these goals. It's very specific. So A is way more likely to be an objective and not really a tactic. More than likely, this is an objective. It's a point in this transformational journey that they need to reach, and they may have several tactics that are linked to this, such as what are they going to do to release 10 new albums by the end of the year? That would be the tactic that is leading up to the objective of this statement. Now, if we look at B, to expand the catalog of artists by identifying and growing new talent. So This to me instantly doesn't sound like a specific action or a specific objective that needs to be achieved. It's rather giving us more of an overview plan of action. It just, in terms of its nature, is almost telling us that this was a decision that was made, and all these other actions in terms of this context will sort of be will lead up to this type of plan or action being carried out. So it's much more high level. It's an overview of what is being done in the organization to move it forward. There's no specific actions, and it's not a short-term thing either, like in terms of an objective or a tactic. This is way more long-term. It's not saying we're going to identify the talent by doing this or that or achieve this specific thing. It's rather just a plan or part of some overview decision that has been made. So C, let's look at C now. So C, to revamp the graphics used online to create a contemporary feel. So this then once again is way more specific. It's not related to the overarching transformation of the organization. It's telling us exactly what we are going to be doing. It's telling us we are going to be revamping the graphics that are used online to create a contemporary feel. There's 3 parts of that statement that are very specific in nature, and they're describing exactly what is going to be done. And it doesn't feel like it's part of some overarching strategy or plan of action that's going to transform the whole organization. This is very specific in nature, and it's short term, and it's telling us exactly what we're going to be doing. So this is way more likely to be a tactic. It's not it doesn't feel like an objective, because an objective would be that this is what we need to achieve. This is more telling us what we are going to be doing. So D is to update the recording studio in Paris. Once again, this is telling us very specifically what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be doing it. So this is way more likely to be a tactic. Then E, to enter partnerships with high-end audio manufacturers to promote analog music. It sounds and it feels like a broad statement. It's not part of the mission, it's not part of the vision, and it's not specific. It's not a specific action, or it's not a specific objective that we need to reach along the way. This, if you read this out, it sounds like it's a part of a high-level plan, a part of a high-level action in terms of what the organization is going to be doing to move it forward, to move it in the direction. It feels like something that is long-term and part of a strategy. We're not saying that we are going to be entering partnerships through this or by doing that or by achieving this specific thing. It's not very specific. It's more broad term. So that is way more likely to also be part of the strategy. So from what we've seen here, we can see that we've eliminated A, we've eliminated C, and we've eliminated D. So those are linked to objectives and tactics, but B and E are most likely part of it, the strategic plan and the strategy of the organization. So I hope from the previous question and this question that you're starting to get to grips with your understanding of the VMOST, and you're starting to see the differences between these aspects of the VMOST. Because once you can find the differences between these aspects, you then yourself you'll be able to create a better VMOS for your own organization. So I hope that's given you some insight into how to answer this question. And I will see you in the next question, where we'll be covering question 7. Cheers.